Even in 2016, when they made it to the playoffs, Mel has called him the best player available.
Ah, the Hall of Fame. The place where every NFL legend lives forever, and the place that every fan loves to speculate about. In fact, we see fans throw around the term future Hall of Famer all willy-nilly about their favorite stars. But let's be honest, not every star's career is actually headed to Canton. That said, there are players who have already punched their ticket. No debate. But it may actually prove more difficult than expected for some of the best players in the game today. In fact, they might one day have a hard time getting through the gates without buying a ticket. So how about we take a look around the NFL at some of the big-name stars that we believe are destined to be fitted for a gold jacket, and which ones will be getting left out.
Howell over the middle, incomplete. Batted away from Curtis Samuel by Bobby Wagner.
Surefire Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes, QB, Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes isn't just on his way to the Hall of Fame. The NFL might have already found him a reserved parking spot. What Mahomes did in 2022 and 2023 is the stuff legends are made of. After becoming the first NFL player this century to win League MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season in 2022, Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is already proving his Hall of Fame worth. In the 2022 season alone, Mahomes achieved as much as only 3 quarterbacks in NFL history were able to accomplish throughout their entire careers. In addition to earning League MVP and Super Bowl MVP, the 27-year-old led all quarterbacks in the 2022 regular season with 5,250 passing yards and 41 touchdown passes. And then he went and followed that up by carrying a relatively weak Chiefs to another Lombardi trophy in 2023. If he can deliver the three-peat this year, then forget about it. With the accolades that he's racked up in the form of League MVPs and Super Bowl MVPs, in the same season no less, the guy practically is halfway to a bronze bust. As crazy as it seems, this early in this guy's career, he is simply undeniable. Won't get in, Jadeveon Clowney, DE. Jadeveon Clowney will go down as one of the most fascinating what-ifs in NFL history. From being the #1 overall pick in 2014 to that iconic hit in college, it felt like Clowney was destined for greatness. But truth is, the production just never quite matched the hype. The 2014 NFL Draft first overall pick had a productive but not a Hall of Fame-worthy career, and that's putting it lightly. Sure, Clowney has had his moments, elite moments even, but he's bounced around from team to team, signing one-year deals, cashing checks, and never staying in one place long enough to build a Hall of Fame legacy. And now, well, he's in Carolina looking more like a guy going through the motions than a player adding to his resume. It seems almost impossible to think that he'll accumulate the kind of counting numbers needed to get in. At his peak, he is no doubt one of the best, but the actual output has been far too inconsistent. Hall of Fame careers are not built on potential, they're built on consistency. Clowney, well, he just doesn't have it. Surefire Hall of Famer, Mike Evans, WR, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's crazy to think and say, but somehow the guy has never not had a 1,000-yard receiving season despite being in the league a decade. And he's still one of the most underrated receivers in the game today, and most definitely of his generation. Despite his insanely consistent production, people always seem to be sleeping on Mike Evans. But when all is said and done, he will have a bust in Canton to prove that he was one of the top dogs without question. Like I said, we're talking about a guy who's never had a season with fewer than 1,000 receiving yards, a streak that spans a decade. He's not just a stat sheet warrior, though. Evans has been the heart and soul of the Buccaneers offense for years, leading them to a Super Bowl title with Tom Brady. And in 2023, at age 30, he still managed to lead the league with 13 touchdowns. The man is a machine and one of the best players the game has ever seen, period. He just continually elevates his team, and not to mention, he is a Super Bowl champion. Won't get in, Russell Wilson, QB, Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson's career has taken a weird turn, and it might have cost him a Hall of Fame ticket. Back in Seattle, he was nearly a 2-time Super Bowl winner, though he infamously settled for 1. A 9-time Pro Bowler and had one of the best winning percentages in the league. But here's the thing, his individual numbers were never that impressive, and now, with a little more hindsight, it's starting to look like he was more a product of the system than a superstar. He got a lot of credit early early on from making a career for himself after initially being overlooked as a third-round pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, headlined by two top picks, Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III. But it's really fallen apart in the tail end of his career. The disaster of a second act, and now a slow start in Pittsburgh, has really tarnished his legacy. Plus, with the way that his name has really been soured in the media in recent years, he may have a hard time generating the votes, as he hasn't made himself a ton of new friends since leaving Seattle. In fact, he might have actually played himself out of the Hall of Fame over the past couple of years. Surefire Hall of Famer, Derrick Henry, RB, Baltimore Ravens. As much as people love to hate on running backs these days, the fact of the matter is that Derrick Henry rises above all that negativity and will no doubt be in the Hall of Fame one day. In fact, his cleats already are. After Henry surpassed 10,000 yards rushing in his career and scored his 100th career touchdown in Week 5 against the Cincinnati Bengals, Henry's shoes were sent to Canton. Henry, who signed with the Ravens this offseason after 8 years with the Tennessee Titans, has been probably the best running back in the league over the past half-decade. When you look at the 30-year-old's counting numbers, it's pretty ridiculous, especially in the context of this pass-heavy era of football. He has 9,502 rushing yards, 90 rushing touchdowns, 4 Pro Bowl selections, and an Offensive Player of the Year award in 2020. And that's just scratching the surface of his accomplishments. Now he joins an elite rushing team with a chance to boost his legacy even further, especially if he and Lamar Jackson can pair to win a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Henry is also just one of 8 players in league history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a season, and he's continued to deliver year in and year out. And if he wasn't part of a platoon to start his career, the numbers would have been even better. King Henry will definitely be a Hall of Famer one day. Won't get in, Cameron Hayward, DE, Pittsburgh Steelers. Cameron Hayward is one of those players who's been really good for a really long time. But really good, it doesn't always cut it in Canton. With 6 Pro Bowls and over 80 career sacks, Hayward has built a solid resume. But the Hall of Fame is about more than just being good. It's about being dominant. But unfortunately, this is one side effect of playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of times, even super talented players just don't get a chance to dominate, or even the full recognition for it, as they have such a well-known team-focused system. That said, the talented defensive end still has a chance to build his case. Hayward is hoping to rebound from an injury-plagued 2023 season, but already has a good but not great case for the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, at his age and with how competitive it is to get in as a defensive end, it's hard to imagine him building the requisite case to make it into Canton one day. Surefire Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, QB, New York Jets. Let's face it, whether you like, love, or hate him, Aaron Rodgers was already a lock for the Hall of Fame before he ever put on a Jets uniform. 4 MVPs, 10 Pro Bowls, and a Super Bowl ring with the Packers. Yeah, you don't need much more than that to earn a spot in Canton. Rodgers ranks 9th all-time in passing yards and 5th in passing touchdowns, and by the time he's done, he'll be sitting even higher on those lists. Now look, people will always hold Rodgers' single Super Bowl win against him, but let's not kid ourselves, Rodgers is easily one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen. In fact, if it weren't for a guy named Tom Brady, Rodgers would probably sit at the top of the most best QB lists. Sure, Peyton Manning has 5 MVPs, but no quarterback in NFL history has combined arm strength, accuracy, and decision-making the way that Rodgers has. His career passer rating is one of the highest in history. Now, if he somehow pulls off a miracle and drags the Jets, the Jets to a Super Bowl win, like Brady did with the Buccaneers, well, that'll be a cherry on top of an already legendary career. But even if that doesn't happen, and honestly, it's not looking like it will, Rodgers will walk into the Hall of Fame the minute that he's eligible. No questions about it. Won't get in? Buffalo Bills, LB, Von Miller. Not too long ago, Von Miller felt like a slam dunk Hall of Famer, and there's no denying that he is one of the best pure pass rushers of his generation. Miller was a nightmare off the edge, fast, explosive, and relentless. The man collected sacks like nobody's business, with 115.5 over his career so far, and logged 7 seasons with double-digit sacks. And don't forget, this isn't just a stat pattern in meaningless games. Miller always showed up when it mattered most. Case in point, Super Bowl 50. Miller's MVP performance is the stuff of legends. 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a strip sack that set the tone for Denver's first touchdown. He made life miserable for Cam Newton all night and cemented his status as one of the best big game performers the NFL has ever seen. But, well, things have not exactly gone well for Miller in Buffalo, and now that he has run into trouble off the field, his future status in Canton is starting to be shrouded in doubt. So, unless Miller can string together a few more productive seasons and stay out of trouble, his candidacy might be on shakier ground than anyone expected. Surefire Hall of Famer Bobby Wagner, LB, Washington Commanders. While there are still some people out there that want to cast doubt on Bobby Wagner's ridiculous NFL career, we will do no such thing. This man is a surefire Hall of Famer in every sense of the word. Wagner has been the best linebacker of his generation, plain and simple. 9 Pro Bowls, 6 first-team All-Pro selections, and over 1,700 tackles in 12 seasons? Look, that's not just great, that is Canton-worthy. He was the heart and soul of the Seahawks defense during the Legion of Boom era. Sure, people talk about Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, and Marshawn Lynch, but come on, make no mistake. Wagner was the glue holding that entire operation together. While Seattle's secondary was making headlines, Wagner was quietly dominating the middle of the field, leading the league in tackles 3 times. He isn't quite in his prime anymore, and yeah, he looks strange in a Commander's uni, but his football IQ and leadership are still second to none, and when he chooses to hang him up, he will, without a doubt, be in Canton. Won't get in? Saquon Barkley, RB, Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley was supposed to be the guy in New York when the Giants took him 2nd overall in 2018 out of Penn State. I mean, it was crazy. Dave Gettleman famously called the former Nittany Lion touched by the hand of God. Barkley was supposed to change literally everything for the Giants, and for just a brief moment during his rookie season, it looked like he just might. I mean, Barkley was everywhere, juking defenders out of their cleats and piling up highlight after highlight. But unfortunately, the magic did not last. Injuries, inconsistency, and of course the general dysfunction of the Giants organization stalled what could have been a Hall of Fame career. Now, he does seem to be finding his groove with the Eagles, yeah, but it is extremely unlikely that the injury-prone running back will ever be able to string together the right case to make it into the hallowed halls of Canton. Now Barkley is trying to reinvent himself with the Eagles, and sure, he's definitely shown flashes of the player that we thought he'd be. But the problem is still pretty simple. The Hall of Fame doesn't reward flashes, it rewards longevity, production, and impact. And unfortunately, Barkley just hasn't been able to stay healthy long enough to build that kind of resume. But which NFL star do you think is a surefire Hall of Famer? Who do you think is going to draw the short straw? Was there anyone that we got wrong here? Was there anyone that you agree with? And perhaps most importantly, was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If y'all liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.